Assalamualaikum everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. No? Good morning. This is going to be, I do not know if this is the second day, first day or whatsoever. So welcome to our training. My topic is writing your results and discussion, summary of findings, conclusion and recommendation. My topic is very significant in a sense that most of you are engaged in research writing, and definitely if you're a beginner, then one of the difficulties you would experience as you commence writing is establishing connectivity in the components of the research paper you're making. So it is a must that you learn writing your results and discussion and the rest of the components, including the way they are being aligned to the title, the research questions and objectives, okay, and of course your hypothesis. Maybe you are wondering, why do you have to learn this in addition to the courses you're studying? Of course, because you are now in your thesis writing. And the fact that you're in your thesis writing, then the challenge is how you could come up with a good one, a wonderful one, something that you can be so proud of. Okay? So it's really a good thing when you know how to discuss and how to know your results, because the reader with your competence will understand what you are going to convey or what you are conveying through your research. Okay? So I am Mubarak R. DIMASINDEL and I will be your resource person for the day. Welcome to this training. Oh, why is it not moving? Alright. The first component, because those that are assigned to me are only the results, the discussion, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, I presume that you're done with the title, the introduction, no? And those other components contained in the background of the study and in review of related literature as well as your methodology. So we presume that you're done with the data gathering, and now all you have to do is to present the results. So results section is for revisiting your research questions and hypothesis. Take note, class, that when you prepare results, it's a must that you go back to the research questions. Question, where you can find these research questions doon sa statement of the problem. Okay? So, why is it so? Because the way you're going to present your results should be in conformity with the research questions you have in the statement of the problem. Okay, ano bang ibig kong sabihin dito, guys? Of course, kasi kadalasan tinatanong natin, no, sa research questions or sa statement of the problems, what is the profile of the respondents? Or question number 2, to what extent is the sanitation practices, no, performed by the health professionals? And then the third question would be, to what extent are the health management practices performed by the health professionals? So there are three questions already, right? So, how are you going to anchor your results to such? Madali lang kasi results are answers actually to such questions. Kung ang unang tanong is what is the profile, from interrogative, you convert it into declarative in a way that it will become a subheading of your results. So, sasabihin mong profile of the respondents. Then under that, you need the textual and the tabular presentations. So what is this textual presentation? This is, class, the presentation of data in paragraph form. Naka-paragraph siya with all the statements. Okay? And usually, it's the textual that comes first, followed by the tabular. Okay? So, tabular, that is actually the statistical presentation, no, of your data, the summary. So these two things complement each other. Okay? So in your results, always fully report what your results were. Never manipulate, never add any. Okay? Kasi sometimes there is that expectation that we have in mind at kapag yung ating nakuha hindi nagko-conform doon, no, babaguhin natin para mag-conform sa gusto nating mangyari. So never do that. Organize your results by research question or hypothesis using statistics to show how the research question or hypothesis was answered. So I was referring to this actually when I told you that when making a result, you review your statement of the problem because there are questions, research questions found there that would serve as your guide in presenting the results. Kasi um, baka tanungin niyo ang sarili niyo, no? Saan ako magsisimula sa aking results sa presentation? Ang guide niyo ay ang inyong research questions. Kung ano ang nauna, yun ang uunahin yung ipapresent in this chapter. No? So, for the discussion, okay, a result is actually a presentation of information. Discussion, on the other hand, is a presentation of knowledge. So the information in this case is converted into knowledge. And discussion class is an in-depth or what's this? It's a manner of giving meaning to the results. So discussion is your interpretations of the results. Binibigyang buhay mo yung results. Halimbawa, okay, let me show an example. I hope it's here. Okay. Sandali. Class, sandali ha. Mag-auto-rotate ako. Ayun. Alright. Sige. So, let me present to you this one that I am making. So, it's entitled Convergent Parallel Design on the Problems of Southern Philippine Secondary Teachers in Mathematics References. So, I don't have yet the other components, pero mayroon ako dito kasi hindi pa ito tapos eh. Ito yung profile, no? Profile of the respondents. Ito yung naging title ko, class, kasi or subheading ko under the chapter containing the discussion of results and discussion, kasi sa statement of the problem, the first question raised is what is the profile of the respondent. So, ang sinasabi dyan na text or presentation yung nakaparagraph. Let's read. The Table 1 reveals that majority of the respondents are 25 to 39 years old, or N equals 63 or 67%, females, N equals 68 or 72%, with a monthly income ranging from 20 to 30,000 pesos. And are college graduates, as implied by frequency N equals 77 or 82%. This means that most of mathematics teachers hired in Southern Philippines are young adult females. So, dito kasi kinumbine, pero sa basically class sa results, no, ang i-discuss mo lang is kung ano yung sa table. Yang sa table 1, yan yung statistical presentation ng data natin. So, look, we use frequency distribution. Okay? Nandyan yung frequency, nandyan yung percentage. Magtaka kayo, paano ako nag-come up ng 2 in frequency? Of course, you're going to count the number of respondents whose ages fall below 25. Okay, and that's 2. So, the total number of respondents is 94. Okay? Pero ang pag-count ng 94 class is hindi age, gender, no, kundi totality na. No? Kung mapapansin nyo sa age, we have 94, sa gender 94 din, monthly income 94, sa highest educational attainment is also 94. So paano nakuha yung percentage? Okay, yung frequency i-divide mo sa total times 100%. 2 divided by 94 times 100 is 2%. 29 divided by 94 times 100 is 31%. 34 divided by 94 times 100 is 36%, and so on and so forth. So ang ini-emphasize ko lang, class, is ito, no, when presenting results, you need the textual presentation, yung nakaparagraph. Ang ating tabular presentation is itong sa table, no? Table 1, profile of the respondents. Okay? So, kapag profile, class, never forget, no, na lahat ng components niya ay in one table, in the same table. Kasi ayaw nating lituhin pa o i-burden pa yung ating mga readers na hanapin niya saang page na ba ang gender, saan na ba ang monthly income, no? So they have to put in place, or they have to be placed in the same table pag profile ang pinag-uusapan. And then, class, look at this section, ano? Ang tanong kasi dito is, what are the problems experienced by mathematics teachers in their use of mathematics references? Yun, class, yung nakastate sa ating statement of the problem. Ngayon, ginawa kong subheading is problems of mathematics teachers in their use of mathematics references. So makikita mo, meron tayong textual presentation na naman. The table 2 reveals the problems of mathematics teachers in using mathematics references. 94 respondents claimed that these problems are sometimes encountered by them as implied by overall mean 3. And then those that they claim always encountering problems in using references in mathematics are, okay, blah, blah, blah. And then that's the textual presentation. So result yan, ha? Result yan, class. In results, take note, pinipresent mo lang kung ano yung data. Okay, summary ng data ang yung nakuha. So, this is the tabular presentation, no? Kapag kasi to what extent is the degree, usually ginagamit natin ang mean. May kulang ako dyan, standard deviation. So, you can see the number, the statements, the mean, and the description. Okay? And then the overall mean. So, ulitin natin, na ang presentation po natin ng results ay naka-base, class, doon sa ating research questions na makikita sa statement of the problem. Kung ano yung arrangement doon, ano yung nauna, ganun din yung arrangement natin. Okay, another, ito na naman, results, and then ito yung kanyang tabular presentation. Okay, correlation between the problems of mathematics teachers in math references and their perceived effects of such problems in their instruction of content areas in algebra. So you have the correlation matrix, okay, and then ito naman yung qualitative, kasi ang design ko dito kasi, class, ay convergent parallel. So sa convergent parallel kasi, class, nagsasama, okay, nagko-complement to each other yung quantitative at saka qualitative, no? So, what I wanted to learn here, ayan, no? What I wanted to learn here, class, is ano ba yung sinasabing textual presentation at ano yung tabular presentation. So, nakita na natin, ano, ganun yung setup. So, sa ating workshop, kasi after this, I will ask you to do the workshop. Now, tapos na tayo sa results, no? So, information ang result, presentation of information, and then, when information now needs to be converted into knowledge. Okay? So, kapag discussion of results kasi, it's like transforming the information into knowledge, no? And this is what we disseminate now to the public. So, in the discussion, puts the results in their proper scientific context, answer the question, so what? Kung doon sa finding, kung doon sa result mo, majority are females, so what? So you have to enrich your discussion. You need to interpret your results. Okay, in the discussion part. Explain the significance of the results. Yan. And of course, in discussion, there are 3 elements that we have to bear in mind. The first is reminders. So, ano yung mako-cover sa reminders? So, dapat nating tandaan para sa flow ng ating discussion na at a time na mawawala ka sa context, you refer to your objective, to the research questions, as well as your hypothesis. And class, in discussion, no, always nating sinusupport ng related literature. Okay? For beginners, akala kasi nila, kinukuha lang sa Google yung review of related literature, tapos ilalagay lang sa chapter or a part of paper where they have to be placed. So take note class, that the review of related literature is very important. Aside from it tells the reader how wide is the background of the researcher or whether he considers existing findings or not, or kung gasgas na ang study, maliban sa mga yon, with your review of related literature, no, pwede kang mag-conform or mag-disagree sa existing findings. No, yeah, that is what we have to bear in mind. Okay, so in reminders class, no, dalawa yung dapat nating bigyang pansin. Yung objectives, hypothesis, or research question, kailangan kinakabisado natin. And in our discussion, always refer to this para hindi ka nawawala. And then, class, have your review of related literature. Always nating isipin. Kasi sa discussion, gagamitin nyo yan. I will show an example of how it is used. And then, you interpret, no? You justify, you observe limitations kasi ang study mo may limit. And then you compare also your study to existing findings, or you compare the findings, no? You validate, you explain, and then you discuss the implications. So, class, no, in the discussion part of your paper, never introduce new results. Okay? Kung halimbawa, doon sa previous chapter, kasi kanina pinag-usapan natin yung results. Kung kung hindi na mention doon, wag mong i-present dito sa discussion. Okay? Kasi ang discussion natin, ina-anchor natin doon sa results. And it's a no. It's a no class. never do it na ang gawin mo is sa discussion, mayroon kang ipapasok na bago na hindi naman nabanggit doon sa results. The discussion should discuss results. Results that are presented earlier in the paper or in the literature. Don't put forward new facts in this discussion. Huwag kang magdagdag basta wala sa results. So, the next is summary of findings. Class, a summary of findings is not the same as conclusions. Summaries are a statement of what the researchers found, while conclusions are statements of the significance of what they found. So, ano itong summary of findings? Kung ang tinanong is, una, doon sa balik up na naman doon sa yung research questions, doon sa statement of the problem. Kung ang tinanong, what is the profile of the respondents, what are the sanitation practices, what are the good health practices of health nurses. So, syempre, ang summary of findings mo, the first one should be about profile, but do not present data here. Sabihin mo lang, majority are females, Catholic or Islam believers, Maguindanaon or Tagalog or Cebuano or whatsoever. And then, kung ang question number 2 mo is what are the sanitation practices, very simple sa summary of findings. Sasabihin mo lang, the sanitation practices of health professionals are 1, 2, 3, i-enumerate mo, okay? And then, ganun din sa question number 3. Kung meron ka pang tanong na, like, is there a significant relationship between the sanitation practices and the management practices? Sabihin mo lang, halimbawa sa results mo, there is a significant relationship as implied by, let's say, the p-value which is less than the 5% level of significance. Sasabihin mo lang sa summary of finding, there is a significant relationship between those variables mentioned. No? sanitation practices, and the management practices. Very simple lang ang summary of findings. Huwag mo nang pahabain pa. Go directly to the point. Is there a significant difference in your summary of findings? There is or there is no significant difference. As simple as that. Now, let's proceed to conclusions. Theoretically, the discussion section is concerned with the interpretation of the results. I-summarize natin. Usually, ang conclusion, ang tinatalakay nito ay yung discussion mo ng goal mo, no? The way, ano nang masasabi mo? And this is still in touch with your introduction because in your introduction class, binigyan mo ng background ang mga readers. So, sa conclusion, dapat konektado rin doon because you're now talking with your findings. It's just that in conclusion, no, mayroon kang mga dapat i-observe. So, the argument, no, in conclusion, should be based on the materials of your research. Huwag kang mag-mention ng mga out of context. Repeating what have already been discussed in the other chapters should be avoided. No? Like yung sabihin mong, the purpose of this research is to determine blah blah blah. Tapos sasabihin mo naman sa conclusion, the purpose of this research is to determine. Okay, so you avoid that. So let's move on. The dissertation or thesis should prove the importance of the research and promote your success in bringing closure to the problem. So since there is a lot of disciplinary variation in the conclusion section, researchers, writers are recommended to examine examples of previous theses and dissertations to see the writers or what writers typically do. Para at least na-inform ka rin, no? Masabi mo sa sarili mo, pag nagbabasa ka, tinitira mo yung ibang samples na, ganito pala is state ng conclusion. So from that, you will gain something. You will learn. Okay? Marami kang matutunan. So always do the benchmarking class. Make it a habit to read. Kasi, your success in research writing heavily relies on the degree of efforts that you spend. And insofar as these efforts are concerned, pasok na dyan yung pagbabasa nyo. No? How do you make it a habit? Okay? Like every day, you read at least an hour or at least 30 minutes. In conclusions, don't repeat objectives or methodology. Don't use indicative sentences. No? Like mga naipon, the purpose is to measure or blah blah blah, tapos i-discuss mo na naman in your conclusion. And then in conclusion, no new information. Basta hindi na-touch sa results and discussion, never kang magpasok sa conclusion. Kasi ma-out of context siya. So I want you to, kasi a while ago I mentioned that when formulating a conclusion, it should be still in touch with the introduction. So, to know why, okay, let's distinguish them. The former is an initial contact with the readers, examiners, while the latter is your final opportunity to explain your findings. So, ito na. Bakit kailangan, silang malink? Okay, it's because in the very beginning, sa introduction pa lang, binigyan mo na ang reader ng kung para saan ang iyong study. Okay? And it's a must that in your conclusion, they are informed about what your major finding is. Okay? So, show how your findings relate to the previous research. Yes, class, no? Like, sasabihin mo na, kasi diba dun sa discussion na-highlight mo yung mga existing findings at kumusta ang paper mo in relation to those. So sa conclusion mo, i-highlight mo naman ano ang bago sa yung study, syempre. What is new? So and when establishing originality or something new in your finding, so syempre, tingnan mo ang review of related literature. Somehow there has to be a comparison. Provide clear statements of the original contribution to knowledge made by your research. I-highlight mo yung original finding mo. And then, after the conclusion, we will have the recommendations. Nako class, dito kadalasan nagkakamali yung ating mga researchers. Bakit? Anong ginagawa nila? Kung para bang na-found out nila na ang sakit ni Juan ay sa stomach. Pero ang mga gamot ay mga medical, Neosep, and so on and so forth. No? Or kung ano-ano pang gamot na wala namang kinalaman doon sa finding. No? So we have to be very careful. An example of this is kung ang finding mo is poor ang good health, no? Practices ng mga health practitioners sa city. So ang syempre from that finding you will recommend na dapat magkaroon ng let's say mga policies, no, para mas strengthen yung good health, no, practices at mag-impose ng rules, mga sanctions for example, or magkaroon ng information dissemination, magkaroon ng orientation, no, something specific. So yon. So recommendations class are arguably the most important part of the analysis phase because this is where you'll suggest specific interventions or strategies to address the issues and constraints identified in the assessment. So importante ang recommendation class kasi kumbaga ito na yung i-inject mo na kumbaga pa sa health practice is mayroon kang natukoy mo kung anong sakit niya, so magre-recommend ka kung ano ang dapat niyang i-take. So parang ganon. Kasi in social research or in researches, we identify problems, gaps, okay, and so on and so forth. And then from those we recommend. And recommendations class should directly respond to key findings arrived at through data collection and analysis. Medyo inantok na ako. Actually, it's not morning here. I did this at this hour. It's 12 p.m. already. Magto 12 a.m. na pala. Okay? So, dapat ang recommendations mo ay based sa findings. So, recommendation class should be one sentence. Okay? SMART siya, meaning specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And it is feasible. Okay, siguro if there is one thing that I would keep on telling you, it's about the feasibility of your recommendations. Never recommend something that cannot be found or cannot be done in this world. Like sasabihin mo, you go to the outer space and look for this. Oh, that's not feasible, ano? So, let's have an example of a recommendation. So, at least magkaroon kayo ng idea. Ito yung example niya. Given this finding, we proposed designing a pilot pharmaceutical network that would achieve the following. First, create a new scope of practice with higher training levels but a larger range of products and services authorized with supervision by pharmacists. Second, conduct pooled procurement and distribution for network members. Third is increase access to credit to establish and expand business and so on and so forth. So kung mapapansin nyo, ang ganda ng recommendations. They are specific and feasible and they are also based on findings. So I will make you see this example. It's actually a research, no, entitled Cyberbullying Among Filipino Adolescents. Mali yung spelling pa sa adolescents. Okay? So, itong research questions niya, what extent do Filipino adolescents engage in cyberbullying behaviors? Number 2 is, what differences have been in existence, no, pertaining to cyberbullying? So, ito yung results. Compared sa pinakita ko kanina, yung sa akin, very organized kasi profile, mayroon siyang subheading, no? So, dito sa results nyo, ito kasi extracted lang from the results. So, at least nakita natin yung sample. Ang pinipresent natin dito is data. Okay? Data. So, ito yung information na in-inform din natin sa public. But when we give meaning to the results, o discussion na tayo, let's take a let's take a look at the discussion. Basahin natin, ano? A finding of this study suggested that students in private schools experience cyber victimization more frequently than students in public schools, which was in contrast with that of Toku's study on Turkey students. So, kung mapapansin nyo, okay, parang conclusive, no, yung first statement, and then it is justified or supported by review of related literature. No, yung kinumpare siya sa finding ni Toko, which was found to be contrary to what the latter had found out. So public school students in this study reported a lower percentage of technological platforms in use and lower percentages of internet and cellphone access than did private school students. So ano mapapansin nyo pa sa discussion? Wala na po tayong data dito. Wala. Compare nyo sa results, no? Ang dami-daming numbers, statistical data or findings, no? So dito sa discussion wala na yung mga yon, no? Parang conclusion ang dating pero longer siya compare sa conclusion. Okay? So dapat ang kaibahan din dito sa conclusion is that in conclusion you don't cite existing findings. Sa discussion iniisa-isa mo. Kaya mahaba, no, mahaba usually ang discussion. Now class, for your activity, no, base, kasi I presume that your professor, Sir Dr. Rafsan, okay, will send you or have sent to you the copy of this paper, no, itong PowerPoint na lang. And ang gusto kong gawin, inaantok na talaga ako. Ang gusto kong gawin yung class is basahin nyo yung results and discussion, tapos magre-recommend kayo. At least 5 recommendations. Okay? And for recommendations, I think I will give you 10 to 20 minutes. No? 10 to 20 minutes. Or 15 minutes ang tagal ng 20 minutes. More of workshop tayo, class, ha? Mamaya, susubukan nating gumawa. Okay? We will open our thesis, tapos susubukan nating gumawa ng results. No? We will go back to statements of the problem and then the survey questionnaire, tapos magde-data gathering tayo, and then ipapresent natin yung data. You just kasi sa presentation nyo mamaya, no, magkritik ako but in a constructive way. Not to humiliate but only for the purpose of improving your work, no? Let us be friendly this time. Okay, friendly naman tayo sa mga ganitong pagkakataon, ano? So, wag matakot. I will really encourage you to have your own so that by the end of the day, you know already how to write these components of research. So, in relation to the last 2 slides, I guess, that you watched or have seen, gagawa po tayo ng recommendations. Ano yung result doon, then anong discussion doon. So, ano yung re-recommend mo as a practice. This is our first activity. Mamaya mayroon pa tayong second activity. And I will send it to Sir, no, para mas ma-update niya kayo. Basta prepare your thesis. Alright? So, bibigyan ko kayo ng 10 to 15 minutes to do this. Good luck, everyone.